All right. Good morning, everyone. We are live. It is part two of our kind of discussion with Kyle Dorn. So, Kyle, you were on last week, and we had a big breakdown of you reaching financial freedom, retirement, and your cost of living came up, your expenses came up, and it kind of caused quite a stir, a lot of pushback, a lot of comments saying it was BS. So, maybe quickly mention again what your living or total living expense for the month is, and we can dig into that.
Yeah, so just under $600 a month is what it cost me for essentials that I have to live off of.
All right, and even me, I'm kind of mind blown by that amount. And I know Dion, who's been financially free for many years now. Can you imagine living off of them, or what was your number that you reached, Dion?
I figured I spent about $4,000 a month, and I'm going to show how Kyle spends about $4,000 a month. But if I quantitated what I was spending, it was probably less than 1,000. But we don't live on what we spend. And just like a rental, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance isn't our expenses. The roof in 15 years is our expense. The septic system in 12 years is our expense. The siding that's going to melt because the neighbor's window got too hot is an expense. So what Kyle did is he said, here's what I spend. And there's a couple things that we haven't considered that I'll go over too as the questions come in from the people in the comments that I'm hoping to see who say they don't believe Kyle lives on $600 a month.
All right, I'm having a little technical difficulties. I can't see the chat from this screen, so I'm gonna have to get my phone. But Kyle, maybe break down your expenses real quick individually again, and then we can dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I got my cheat sheet. Car insurance for 2 cars per month is $38 a month. My health insurance, which I've had on my own since I was 18, is $189.11. Internet bill is $40 a month. Cell phone is $56 a month. Trash is $37 a month. And on a 12-month average, my electric bill is $165 a month. I have no water bill because I am on well. I have no sewer bill because I am on septic. Electric heat as well. And that's all I got.
Dion, do you have any questions or more information you need from Kyle?
So I'll go over a couple of things. First, a lot of people will say those are some of your expenses, right? You have to be missing something. And they'll look for things like, well, what are your streaming services? Well, you have no TV in your house, right? So you have the internet because you're online. So you said that's like $40 a month. Do you rent the router from Xfinity, Comcast, one of those places, or do you own your own router?
Own a router.
Okay, so that's $300 when it breaks to get the next router, right? So there's an expense, but that's not a monthly recurring expense. What you've done is you've quantified, this is what I spend every month consistently. If that was what, and David Green said this on BiggerPockets, and he said it really well. He said something like, if you need $5,000 a month to retire and you get to $5,000 a month in cash flow, don't retire. Because your expenses, your cost of living expenses aren't the cost of life. So I say, have a multiplier. You want to make more. So you say you spend around $6,000 or $600 a month, but you have $5,000 to $7,000 a month coming in from rentals. So here's where I want to fix everybody's brain that has an issue with this. The comments that came up last week where people said, oh, that can't be true. I call BS. They actually used the term, Nick, I was watching. I call BS was Nick's statement. It's like when you buy a rental. How many times have you seen somebody focus on a spreadsheet, looking at their cash on cash return, thinking if that's going to how they're going to buy the rental or not? And so there's 3 words I want people to focus on. Stop thinking math. You knew your cash flow is more than you need by a large enough margin for you to be able to stop working. So you stop thinking math. If you weren't making a YouTube video or responding to how much you spend a month or looking it up, would you know it was $600? No, you would know it was much less than what you have coming in. So the things that people need, that the knee-jerk reaction to why people say it's not 600 is because I have a property with a well. Well, that's pretty expensive when it breaks, right? And it can dry up. You might need to sink a new well. So you have reserves, and those reserves need to be larger for a well than city water connected. You have a septic system, which means you don't have a recurring monthly sewer bill. So I prefer septic. Half my properties are septic, half are sewer. My septic ones are much cheaper. Even if I do a full replace, paid $17,000 to completely replace my septic system on one property. That's cheaper than the property that I have that's on sewer with that monthly recurring bill, who also has expenses when pipes have problems. So you got the well, you got the septic system. You don't have a car payment. So what I would do to adjust your expenses is a car replacement fund. And that means how much does your transmission cost when it breaks? Because yeah, you could do the labor yourself, but you're not going to build a transmission. The engine can go bad. You're going to have struts, motor mounts, all kinds of maintenance. You have vehicle registration. You have your car insurance you say you have covered. So you have a lot of expenses that you haven't baked into that $600 that are future expenses, but you don't need to, because you know your cash flow is enough to cover that. It's the people who are, I want to know where every penny is coming, and I want to have it quantitated on a spreadsheet, and then they feel like a failure when something doesn't go right. Instead of, I would have no idea what my expenses are if I didn't have a YouTube channel. I would have no idea what my net worth is if I didn't have a YouTube channel. I'd still be retired early. I'd still not be working for 3 years. All of that would be the same. Things can change for you in the future. Right now, where does your food come from?
Great question. I purposely did not mention that. I was waiting to see who would catch on. Girlfriend Taylor, since I pay for the trash and the electric, she pays for the groceries, which equals out to about the same. We're on a very strict keto carnivore diet where it's just meat, fish, plants, seeds. We don't live in the aisles of the grocery stores, so we eat less. It might be a little bit more expensive for meat, but like I'll have 2 sausages in the morning, followed by a light something with a pound of burger meat, which will be broken up between both of us for lunch or dinner. And then we have leftovers for the next day. So we actually don't get hungry as often because we're not actually eating volume. So she buys the groceries, in short answer.
All right. And if that changes at some point in the future, you know you can still retire, because in that $5,000 to $7,000 a month that's coming in, you have a food budget that you just don't include currently. So instead of saying, now, this is where, I don't know if it's a generational thing or how we were raised thing. I don't let anybody pay for anything for me. Not the girlfriend, not the wife, not so in YouTube land, there's a lot of people that say, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's go hang out. So like Alex lives close. Or, I've gone to the local meetups, and there's always somebody that goes, I really want to learn what you know. Can I buy your lunch? And I always say, no, I have like a rule. Nobody buys me food. So the money you save, this is a Charlie Kirk quote, the money you save by letting her buy the food is not worth the honor you lose in not being the provider. He said that's a Graham Stephan about being super cheap on a date. I thought that I'm going to write that down. I'm going to use that someday. Your girlfriend is currently okay with providing the food. That could change in the future.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable with you choosing to be cheap instead of frugal. So in growth mode, I didn't have any streaming services. We had a TV, right? I had like the Friends boxed DVD set for my kids to grow up on. That's why we're all sarcastic. That's the kind of type of humor we had. But we didn't have any streaming services. But in retirement, you know how many streaming services I have?
Not a clue.
Every single one I've heard of. If I hear of it, I just get it. I don't care. I don't want there to be a show I couldn't watch. If a friend watches it, I can interact and have a conversation. How many Audible books I have in my account? I don't think it's 1,000 yet. I think it's over 700. I've probably listened to 500 of them. So in retirement, what I wanted was, I don't have to determine between wants and needs. My wants are my needs. So I have the funding to do that. So I think if you're just hitting retirement, you might not be there yet, but you have a couple of things working for you that the people in the comments that I haven't looked at yet might not be thinking about. What's the gross value? So the total value of all of your properties.
Like in net worth, or the total
Not net
value?
worth. Like if you sold them all, what amount of money would be created? Don't worry about the debt. Don't worry about the cost of selling. What are they worth total?
Oh, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of calculations here.
No, that's okay. You could think about that. The point I'm making is every single month appreciation is usually about 3% a year over year. Yes, we've had 20% and 15% the last 5 years. And there could be negative years too, right? 2010, 9, there was negative years. But over a long enough timeline, it's usually around 3 to 5%. So when you figure out the gross value, and you have 9 properties, whatever they're worth, you can do the quick math on that. Every single month, they appreciate on an annualized basis about 3%. So your gross value of your properties is going up. You have mortgages on properties?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're gaining the appreciation on the bank's money, not just your money.
Right.
And then, to me, it's just like a fun numbers game to play. Every month when you pay the mortgages with the rent money, part of that pays off the principal. So the gap between what it's worth keeps going up, consistently over a long enough time, and your principal pay down is happening. So even though you say you have $5,000 to $7,000 a month coming in, I would calculate how much principal pay down is happening. If this is the gross value of I know my properties are worth about 7.6 million, and that's being conservative, figuring I have to do concessions if I sell. I have 1.5 million in debt, so I can figure out my net worth by factoring out the cost of selling, agent fees, capital gains tax, depreciation recapture. What's left is about a little over $3 million. That means nothing. That is a fictive, made up number, but I know the levers are working every day. So when somebody says, I could never live on $600 a month, what they'd have to do is think, okay, I can quantify the $600 a month, but I still want to replace my vehicle. I'm still going to have to get a well in 5 or 10 years. I'm still going to have roofs on buildings. So of that $5,000 to $7,000 a month, how much are you setting aside?
I'm saving over probably around 57, 59, because I'm always reinvesting too. So I'm also pumping money into Taylor's business. I'm pumping money into this other tiny house build that I'm doing. So I really haven't had a month where it hasn't stopped cycling back into reinvesting to tell you how much it actually saves. But if you just did the cash flow minus my expenses and I didn't invest at all, that number would be, what would that be? High fives.
Right. So most people struggle to save $100 a month, or say it's not possible. They can't start investing because they can't come up with $100 a month, and you're saving $5,000 a month. Right. The 2 buckets I would make in your situation, this is not advice, this is what I would do. I would have the reinvesting fund and I would have the reserve pile. And as the investing got bigger, as her business got riskier because she has more clients, so she'll need more infrastructure, she'll need more equipment, maybe even more employees or anything, and all of a sudden contracts can go away. So I would want bigger reserves to scale with the size of her business. It's cool that you're helping her scale it. But I would separate those two. So what I wouldn't want is you to go, I see an amazing deal, but it's going to take all of my money to buy it. So you buy the deal because you're an investor and you want the growth. And then you don't have the reserve sitting there. That should scale to the size of what your business has gotten to.
Exactly. Yep. I don't have any pushback on that at all, to be honest with you. There's a number that I never want to see lower in my account. No matter what. So I can, if I choose to keep on investing until I get to that certain number where it's like I'm never dropping below that number, no matter what. So that's that discipline.
And for me, that number grew to about 50,000. And my friends, Michael Zuber and the Lumberjack Landlord, with 180 and 150 plus units, 50,000 is their baseline too. Everything above that should be put to work. It isn't that you become a deca millionaire and you start needing to have $1 million in liquid cash in the bank. Like their minds recognize that money is losing to inflation, and you don't sleep anymore at night because most of your problems, and this is probably true for you at the size of your portfolio, most of your problems are handled by cash flow. Right? You'll hardly ever, unless you maybe had a roof and a septic system go out in the same month, would have to dip into your reserves. Like, if you have a water heater and a garage door go out and you're spending $3,000, well, that month you saved $2,000 instead of $5,000. Like, that's how most of us run our businesses as we scale to size. My only real pushback to your situation is I think you're choosing cheap over frugal. Because frugal doesn't mean being cheap. It means not wasting money. Like, I'm happy to spend money. I just booked my tickets to Thailand. Have you been out of the US?
No,
Okay.
I have no interest in it either.
Right, but there are some countries you might enjoy. I mean, I wouldn't go to a weird country like Hawaii. Don't leave the US completely. Mark. I think in 5 or 10 years, you might change your opinion on that. And it's not like you want to go because the US sucks so bad you want to go somewhere else. It's because there are a lot of cultures that you haven't experienced. Just weird things, the way people live. Like, you can go to a country, we've got AM and PM. You get to a country like Thailand and they've got 3. I don't have them memorized. They have 3 different time brackets of the day. Or maybe even 4. I think they go in 6-hour brackets. It's completely different. Like, there's languages that you haven't experienced, the different cultures, the different weather. Like, the reason I booked my Thailand trip, I'm leaving like November 18th, is because that's when winter starts in Washington. I don't want to be here for that. Where you live, there are 3 months out of the year where if you get locked out of the house, you die. Maybe you don't have to be there those 3 months.
Understood.
Okay, how many states have you been to?
All of them except for Hawaii and Alaska.
Is that just because of the truck driving, or because you got out and explored?
No, it was just because of the truck driving. My whole life, but I've been on the move. So sitting down and simmering and just relaxing and not being, my head's just vibrating with the truck anymore. Just feels really good to sit here and relax. So
it really does. I mean, so yeah, what people are concerned about your frugality too. The idea of being financially free and having control of your time is worth it. That's my kind of like final point before we get to the comments. I think people are just not comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when you say you spend $600 a month, they think that's your limit. Like, you can't spend more. Well, no, your car's going to break, and you are going to have an important occasion to go to dinner with somebody or something. You're going to do those things, and you have the money to do it. But you're living in a house hack. You've picked your camera up last week, turned it around, and you said it's what, 700 square feet or less or something?
12 by 24.
12 by 24. So
40. Yeah,
right. And if I retired in 2022, and people would go, okay, you have net worth in the millions, you have cash flow in the hundreds of thousands a year, you obviously have a comfortable life. No, I retired in 2022 and moved into a Burr house hack. I lived without a bathroom for 4 months. I lived without a kitchen for 6 months, maybe even longer. I was willing to be uncomfortable in retirement to make retirement even better than it could have been. I think you're willing to live in a smaller place. You're willing to house hack, willing to control your finances so that no one else controls your time, so that you don't have to spend hours a month making sure you're up on DOT compliance on the new hours of service change, where they just feel like randomly we're throwing in some requirement for a break every couple of hours or something that changed every year. All right, Mark, we're ready for the comments. Hopefully we got some good ones in there.
Technology sucks sometimes. Yeah, usually it shows up on the restream side, but for some reason it's not there. So I'm trying to dig through the YouTube side. So hold on.
Yeah, it's there on mine.
No, I on the restream.
Yeah,
on the it's not
the
showing
little chat button in the corner. You have to click the little tiny chat button and it popped open.
It doesn't. It was there this morning,
huh?
And then it disappeared.
You need a 10-year-old to help you with the tech.
I can't even comment from there. So I do. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I do see a lot of people tuning in. Let's see. We got Hard Hat to Rentals though just says his light bill was $380 this month. So he lives in Texas. So definitely and I think that also Zuber had a video with Anna Kelly, and we talked about it today on his comment section video. But they were talking about sometimes people, you may have to move, right? If you're in a tough situation, or, you're struggling out there and you can't get ahead, moving may be your best option right now, right? And I think that's why a lot of people are having a hard time with your living expense, because especially a lot of people on the coast, they're the ones kind of maybe pushing back. They'll be like, hey, this costs this much for me, and how are you doing it? So definitely moving could be an option, right?
Yeah, for sure. May not be the easiest, but it's an option. Everything's an option.
Hard Hat to Rentals also again says, what about gas for the car? What about stopping at a store for a drink? Easy $2. Any fun money? Any pets?
Perfect. Yep. No pets. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Gas for the car. I have no commute, so anything driven in the car is for a luxury, and that would be a luxury expense, not a have to live off of expense. And even if it was, it's about $50, $60 a month, at most. When we go out, town is a little bit of a drive. It's 30 minutes just to get to town. So you don't run out 5 times in a day. It's you wait until you have a whole list of things that you need to get, and you make it one-stop shop. Everything else is very outdoor recreational. So, kayaking, you bring it in there, drop it in the river. Yep, you'll have maybe 25, 30 miles on the car. If you're getting 25 miles to the gallon, you use a gallon of gas. So it's just kind of just math with that. Did he have another question? No.
Well, he says, don't forget about oil changes, air filters, also home air filters. There's so much to consider. This is why mine is $8K a month.
Perfect. Let's hit that one. So my background is working on tractor trailers for a living. I don't pay anybody to work on anything. So oil changes, I got a filter for about $6 at Napa, about 4 quarts of oil at $6 a quart, if you want to call it. So, and that's at every 3,000 miles. So now start doing the math on how much you're actually driving. So if you're putting on 100 miles, 200 miles a month, how many months is that going to take till you hit that 3,000 miles before you need that oil change? Air filters, we live in a dusty environment. Probably replace air filters more often than anybody else, and that's still 1 time a year, if that. A lot of times I can go much longer than that as well. Was there another one in that? I'm trying to follow it here.
While you're looking for the comments, I have a statement, Kyle. You said you don't smoke, you don't drink, probably don't gamble, right? But you don't travel. Maybe you kayak because you talked about it. But there was the doctor that was telling the guy, if you cut out smoking, cut out drinking, you cut out gambling, you cut out the women, you cut out all the late nights, you're going to live like 10 years longer. And the patient says, why would I want to? I'm not saying to go start bad habits, but I think I would really encourage you to get some. Think of the people. This is how unfair the universe is, and probably why some people in the comments are not happy. That are trapped in a 50+ hour work week, that have a spouse that's not helpful. Like they're the ones doing all the housework, all the shopping, giving up all of their time to just do life, and they have to have a job, and they probably work a bunch of overtime or have a side hustle just to get by. Who would give up an appendage, an arm or a leg, for time freedom to travel, time freedom to read books, watch shows, whatever their thing is, scuba dive, whatever it is, wherever they go. And you have that opportunity and you don't care. You're like, I'm not going to go enjoy those things. I could go do everything that everybody else wants to, that isn't getting to because of life. I could see the frustration. If the viewer is going, if you're trapped in your job and you probably don't like your job and you're not getting ahead financially and you feel stuck, and you see somebody like Kyle go, yeah, I just own my time. I mean, I'm not going to do anything with it, but I own my time. Versus I want to be that inspiration to everyone that I encounter that goes, I could travel to any country I want to. I could scuba dive anywhere I want to. I can go. I have a requirement to spend $2,000 a month on food. So I'm going out and enjoying things without having to shop, cook, prepare, clean, anything like that for my own food. That would be a life worth investing for. If a life that you invest for was so that you could do nothing and have no streaming services, so miss every meme that comes out, not understand any of the culture that's changing with different shows that come out in the last 5 to 10 years, that is our current culture. Like we had Shakespeare hundreds of years ago, we now have TV shows, right? There are people who base their comedy off The Office or off of Game of Thrones, and apparently I'm not allowed to talk bad about The Office because there's some fans here or something. But Ricky Gervais was way better than the American version. Anyway, that's just my thought, is if you have the ability. One of the reasons I thought I should retire is because since I can, I'm wasting a life if I don't.
I want to say thank you to Michelle for the super chat. She says, "Congrats, Kyle. You are inspirational, like Dion and all friends we have made in this community. I'm moving to a burr and renting rooms goal, zero house expense." I think I think Lynn is maybe the one that's struggling the most with your living expense. So Lynn says, "No fast food ever. You don't help with any bills for your family. I know no kids, pets, but aging parents, birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, Zoom memberships, school fees, haircuts, cleaning supplies, aka Target, Amazon, Costco, Sam's Club membership, gym membership."
All right, I can hit every single one of them, but you're gonna have to stage them up as one at a time because I didn't remember all that. What was the first one? It was
She said, "No fast food ever."
no, completely against the diet. We don't really want to ingest those kinds of chemicals. You know, my meat comes 30 feet away from my fence line here. It does go to the local butcher. I can get it from my neighbor as well. But yeah, absolutely no chemicals, like very strict on that. Coffee right here, that's organic coffee. You know, we don't use cream, we don't use sugar, we don't use any of that. So absolutely no fast food whatsoever. What was the second question?
She says, "You don't help with any bills for your family." She said, "I know no kids, pets, but what about aging parents?"
Perfect. So this one will probably blow a lot of people's minds. My mom actually lives on the property with me in a tiny house as well. So she has no bills either. So I have nothing to help with because I'm providing her housing for free.
There's a question on don't you hunt and fish, but I have a follow-up question before you answer that. With the government shutdown, does that mean that Fish and Wildlife and the game wardens are not working? Because that opens
Yeah,
up a
right.
lot of fishing and hunting without licenses.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I see the Lumberjack tuning in on Dion's channel, so thank you, Lumberjack.
Hey,
I
Matt.
think he's also a big part of your success, right, Kyle?
Absolutely.
You
Very
want to
big.
give him a quick shout out and thank you.
Man, Matt, thanks for everything you do. Your course, your boot camp, the lives, everything, yeah, I think, Dion opens up the mind. Like, I think all you guys together is just absolutely incredible. Dion opens up the mind. Michael Zuber, makes it possible. And then Matt just fine tune combs it and just says, like, just everything he teaches just to make you absolutely elite. And once you start listening to him, once you start learning how to think like him, it's almost like, I ask myself a lot of times, like, well, what would Matt's, if I was talking to Matt today, what would he tell me to do? And then it's like, oh, I'll just do that thing, right? So thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that.
Going back to Lynn's one, she does say, "What about birthday gifts, Christmas presents, Zoom membership?"
Perfect. We don't believe in any holidays. We don't celebrate Christmas. We don't celebrate birthdays. It's just another day to us. Zoom membership. I didn't even know that was a thing. This is the second one we've done here. So yeah. So none of that either.
Lumberjack does say, "You did it, my friend. You put words to the music. Kudos to you."
Thanks, Matt.
Ooh, she may have got you one though. What about your school fees?
11th grade dropout over here. There are no school fees.
No. The school of the Michael Zuber's one rental at a time school community.
Check to see if I'm still a member.
Oh man.
I just couldn't focus on it. I tried. I couldn't focus on it.
All right. Haircuts.
Haircuts. Number 2 buzzer all the way around. I'll bring it down for you if you want.
Okay. Last cleaning supplies, aka Target.
We don't have a Target within an hour's drive of here. So, but cleaning supplies, again, that's Taylor's with her wrapped up grocery bill. So that's on her.
Okay, so I'm assuming so he's not here. I don't see Nick from Lead Pray Huddle, but he did ask me the other day, what does he do? Wipe his ass with leaves? So I guess I'm assuming that's in the grocery bill.
So here's a question for you, Kyle. And
Yeah.
think about this for a second before you answer. What do you bring to the table in your relationship?
Moving her forward. You're talking with Taylor, that relationship, right? Mm-hmm. I got to give credit to Matt here. Hopefully he's still listening. Matt made me think elite. I'm just transferring that down to her because at the end of the day, I want her to be stronger than me. Because when I fall on my face, which I will, I need her to be stronger than me to pick me up. So I am pushing a lot of self motivation, a lot of drive into her business, showing her that it is possible and she can do it just by doing more work than anybody else. So self improvement to her.
So what you bring to the relationship is helping her work more.
Not work more, think harder to resolve problems faster in a different way.
How long have you been together?
5 years.
Okay. I have no further questions on that without becoming argumentative.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll add a little bit on there too. She does want to buy a rental property, so like that's another reason why we are pushing her handyman business. So she, her living expenses basically mirror mine, just in different categories because she's got a grocery bill, I got the electric, I got the trash bill. So when she buys a property, most likely it'll be after this winter. We're going back there, we're rehabbing that together. So that's what she wants, and she's going to get it done no matter what.
Mick, I believe, his comment says, Mr. Money Mustache did this. They are divorced over it. Any thoughts?
Did what?
Kept a frugal life that the spouse wasn't okay with.
She is a spitting image of me, unfortunately. We have our goals, our mindset is very much aligned. It is
There's
not
probably only 300 videos where he said the same thing online.
Oh,
she's the same as me. She lives frugal. Frugal to get there? Sure. Sacrifice for a time? Sure. Forever? Not the goal.
I think for us, the only goal is to keep moving forward and, helping people along the way. I don't get enjoyment on going surfing. Not that I've ever done it. I still ride the dirt bike every once in a while. And of course, people are going to ask, is that an expense? Yeah, I might burn like 2 gallons of gas every 3 months. So yeah, there's an expense there.
The hospital deductible for the broken collarbone.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a lot of that, my right femur's, rod through that thing. So, the problem I personally suffer from is that I can't concentrate when I'm doing the things that it sounds, sitting here in this chair thinking like, all right, helping other people, like this is actually making impact. This is actually good. And I think I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to do this other thing, like ride the dirt bike? And I guess I'm so focused on moving forward and helping others along the way, I guess when they need it or if they ask, that when I try to do those things of like riding dirt bike, like I can't concentrate. Like I'm focusing here, like where we are today, doing this on a Zoom call. And I can't break that. Like I don't have an off button to shut that off. I've tried all different things. I can't shut it off. So this is my happiest, doing this kind of stuff, maybe not on the Zoom calls with live YouTubes, but helping other people, making real difference, making impact. That's my happy time.
So we got Crack Canvas from Dion's channel says, I need a female version of Kyle. and Crack Canvas also says, well, holy shit, Keeper, God, they are hard to find. And Hard Hats Torrento says, congratulations to you, brother. If I could get my wife to agree to half of this, it would be a miracle.
Maybe we have to bring Taylor on. We'll have to try to convince her.
Yes. So on that point, there was, I believe, Tiffany in the community, right, was wanted to reach out to Taylor. And does she have a YouTube channel or something? Or someone was asking about that, right? Like, how can they reach out to Taylor, or is she on social media or anywhere?
No.
I think maybe
look me up on Facebook, and then I'll get you in contact with her.
I would be interested to hear what she said in an open format like this too.
Perfect.
I've been trying to get Chesla on for years, and she's not going on camera. Like,
Tiffany says yes. I guess she was the one that wanted to reach out to Taylor. Lynn does investing. Does say a better question is, does she expect to keep living this the rest of her life?
we are the happiest today. We wouldn't change today for anything else. Living in a 2-bedroom house like my rental house in front of me is would be too big for us. We like not having stairs. We like having a ladder to climb off of. The joke that we have is that we're not yuppies. We don't have stairs. We have a ladder. So we like exactly where we're at. It's less cleaning. The power bills, much less. The heat is much less. Everything's right here at our fingertips. And it also makes it much easier to bring less shit into the house that you don't need.
Casey says he got divorced already by his wife. Lumberjack also says, yeah, Taylor should. She's awesome. Yeah, so maybe we can get her on, or Dion can get her on his channel. But I think a lot of people would love to hear her side of things. Any other questions, Dion, from you, for Kyle, or breaking anything else down?
Well, I was waiting for somebody to come in the comments and talk about anything we were missing, like what expense are we missing, and I think we covered quite a few of those because you have a reserve account, you have more cash flow than what you're saying that you spend. I think that people got a little tripped up by the math of that. I think, and Mark, you said this before we hit record, I think people who live on the coast just can't fathom a bill of $600 because their car insurance is triple because they live in a blue state if they're on the coast usually. Most people aren't house hacking, so they just assume that it costs thousands of dollars a month just to live in your house, right? I get paid to live where I'm at. I live on the coast, so it's possible even on the coast. Brandon Turner moved to Hawaii and bought a triplex, could have got paid to live there if he wanted to, rented out the other units short term. So it's possible everywhere. I think if people don't focus on removing that biggest expense, the mile marker that they have to get to reach financial freedom is just so much higher that it seems challenging. How long did it take you, Kyle, to go from you don't own any rentals to you could hang up and not work anymore?
So the house hack I started with 2018. I did nothing. I bought the first property out of state in October of 22. And then just about 3 weeks ago, I sold off the business.
Ike Hobbs says, what's the end goal? Is it to have X number in the bank? Is it to provide for a certain number of people?
It's not even anything to do with money at this point. It is just to make changes in people's lives and help people. And when I get to live through helping somebody with their issue, it's an additional experience that I get to go through. And it may not be my problem, but handling it with somebody, that's the most exciting part to me. Like the chaos. Like it may not be my problem, but I'm still acting as if it was. So I don't know, like life doesn't really ever, I guess I don't have big goals because I kind of hit everywhere that I wanted to hit. And I always thought like, once I got that win on the board, it would be now I can be happy. And then I realized that like, it's always during the chase that I was always the happiest. So now like, I like on the previous video that we talked on was, I got this other tiny house going up here in about a month or so. That's probably going to take a month and a half to build. Go back to Iowa, buy some more rentals. Like that's all fun. We're helping tons of people along the way. And then it's just building her business. So, I think I can just set the goal really big for, 7 to 9 employees in her handyman business. And that's that's it. Like that's the ultimate goal. And then after that, it might be double that. So it's just, I can't turn that off, I guess.
We got Charles McCune, who's going to have a bigger financial freedom number because he's going to be buying a helicopter for his wife. But he says, what about property taxes?
Property taxes. All of my tenants are paying for that. So I don't have that.
Hard Hats to Rentals asked, Dion, make a video just for men's wives on this subject. It'll be the first one. Share with my wife or show my wife.
So one thing I can't do on my channel is give parenting or relationship advice because they've ultimately failed absolutely spectacularly in both of those.
Linda's Investing's asking, what is Kyle's background? Tell me about his childhood. I don't know. Is that okay to you want to talk about that, or I mean,
Yeah. Childhood, I guess. Um, I just thought everything was just normal, I guess. Obviously we never came from, uh never came from money, that's for damn sure. My dad, he's a raging alcoholic, which makes it very easy to not drink, because I looked at him and said, I want to be nothing like that guy. He's in another state. My mom's always kind of suffered with having jobs for a long period of time with other issues getting in the way, family related stuff. Growing up, it wasn't going to the store and buying new clothes every year. It was literally throwing me into the Goodwill. I don't know if they have them back in Pennsylvania. They had these blue box containers, and you'd throw a trash bag full of clothes up into the container and drop it off. Well, what we would do is hopefully I can say this, but we would give one, get one. So the clothes I outgrew, I would get shoved up into the Goodwill container. I'd go through them to find the ones that fit me that I like, and I'd take them out. And then all the clothes I didn't have that wouldn't fit me anymore, we would throw that into the container. So that was what every year kind of looked like. And then background from that was riding a little bit of dirt bikes. And then it was working at a Freightliner dealership, turning wrenches when I got that job when I was in 10th grade. So that probably accelerated me mentally versus other people that had other jobs or weren't working at all because they were living with their parents. So I was working on trucks for a living, and then I was buying a truck to work on the weekends. That one thing led to another, to having a trucking company full time when I was 20. And then that was pretty much been it the whole time. And then just started buying properties in 22, but the house hack started in 18.
just want to say hello to Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, tuning in on Instagram. But we do have Troy Roberts saying, the conversations and value in that you provided to me, Kyle, have been instrumental and can never thank you enough for.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate it. He's doing good too.
Crack Canvas is asking though, where did you find that computer chair, Kyle? It's epic.
She got it off of Amazon, so.
And Mr. Nice Guy 423 says, Dion, you should be able to give parenting advice. You raised 3 and none are in jail. I have 2. I've learned that 2 is my max.
When it comes to kids, I usually tell people that you have one goal or one obligation, but there's really 2. And I would say it's 50% of them are supposed to make it to the age of 18. If you could do that, you win as a parent. But really, with me, it's if they're not in jail or on the pole, I think I won.
1 is my max. I don't know how you did 3, man.
I didn't want to have any. That's the fun thing. I didn't want to have any kids. I wanted to adopt. I figured that kid exists and is going to have to suffer through everything, and I can make their life better. Instead of having kids that wouldn't have to suffer through everything, and now I try to make their life better. But I'm an idiot and had 3 kids.
Lynn says, okay, now I am convinced. $600 a month.
Should
brought somebody around?
Maybe we should put some pictures up. Can you do that?
Of the ones you sent me?
Your chat.
Yeah, the pictures with receipts and whatnot.
Okay. Let's see. We got this one.
Maybe we should play a game though and see what people think the expense is before we actually share it.
Oh, man, now you like making me try to figure out how to do stuff live, man. All right, so what do you want me to try and do?
Whatever receipt you want to pull up. Why don't you start with the health insurance? That will probably shock a lot of people.
Man, I can't. Well, we're going with this one. Whatever's up here first.
All right. That's the health insurance.
Where is it? I saw it. What was it?
It's hard. It's 189.
Yeah, 189. Yeah, 189. I think that was a question, though. Someone did ask, how do you get such low health insurance?
There it is.
Don't live on the coast.
Let's see. Okay, this is the other one you sent me. What is this one we're looking at? Car insurance.
Yep. So about 3/4 of the way down, there is a bold writing that says total 6-month policy premium. Look all the way to the right, and that is 2 vehicles on there. So every 6 months, that is what I pay.
This one is internet.
Yep. That one's self-explanatory.
And then
there's a cell phone. There's a, I don't know if anybody can see this, but iPhone 7, iPhone 8, whatever it is.
yep, you sent me all these receipts. So people out there that did comment and message me after the last live stream, calling it BS. Kyle sent me a lot of receipts to prove his living expense. But Casey does say you're his new mentor now, Kyle. You are building a beast. You are building a beast. Taylor, support you all the way to the moon.
Definitely. Yep, we definitely push each other. You know, the I think the one thing that we're really good at is we don't really talk about the things that we're good at or where you did good. Like, oh, you did a good job on that estimate, or you did a good job with that one thing. We just want to focus on where we're sucking at every day, because those are the areas that we want to improve on. And if we only talk about that, it's like we know exactly where to improve on every time. And I guess you got to be careful with that too. You know, you got to know your spouse on how she's going to take that, or how he's going to take that as well. But for us, we're playing ping pong off of each other, just pushing each other forward every day. So it's a lot of easy motivation right there.
I look at life in the opposite lens. So a lot of people pick their weaknesses and focus on them and get better at them. My goal was pick the things that I'm good at and focus on them and be amazing at it. And the things I suck, outsource. So
yeah.
There's probably things that you like. If you've worked on your truck, so you can work on your vehicle all the time, right? I drove truck, right? I was a CDL instructor. I could open the hood, and yes, Freightliner for Charles, and look at that block of the engine and see the name tag of the company that made it and not know anything about it. But I can get in it, look at the shifting pattern, and drive anything with any weight, right? So I don't want to be good at mechanic stuff. I don't want to be good at drywall. I did a little bit of it. I'd rather hire it out. I'm really good at knowing if a rental is going to be a good rental or not caring about math, looking at all of the aspects of it. So I focus on that. Instead of thinking, okay, I'm really bad at mechanic work, so I should spend 2 to 6 hours a week working on cars so I can get better at it. I would just be a slightly less terrible mechanic.
We might be able to cut your expenses even lower, it looks like, Kyle. Mr. Nice Guy 423 says, Kyle, is that your cell phone bill monthly? If so, you should check out Mint Mobile. $200 a year, 5 gigs of data a month.
Interesting. Yeah, when I first moved out here to Montana, I had AT&T, and the service was terrible. You might as well just have a landline. So that's when I swapped over to Verizon. And for service out here in the rural areas, that's definitely the dominator.
Hard Hat to Rentals does say, I guess I see what you're talking about. When I say 8K, that's also with mine and my wife's needs. So I guess it's 4K a month in reality. We got Brian. Hey, what's up, Brian? Brian Billswelt says, the desire to prove Kyle wrong seems so bizarre to me. I'm happy for him. Is his number exact? Who knows or cares? He seems to have achieved his goals, and I'm happy for him.
Thanks, Brian.
No, if anybody's going to focus on proving somebody wrong, they should target the lumberjack landlord, because that's the thing that brings me joy in life, is saying he's wrong in anything. Matt is one of the, I'd say, top 3 reasons why I retired early. Not only was able to, by improving my systems, by learning his strategies from him, but so that I could retire before he did. Like that became that's the beacon that was shining. Top 3 reasons to retire.
I know I might have to do the same thing just to beat Millennial Mike. So I don't know. We're we're racing for it next year, I think. So
Yeah.
Mike might be on next week. We're trying to schedule a time to
This is
go
how
live.
important that decision is. You represent all firefighters. He represents all law enforcement. And we all know God made law enforcement so firefighters could have
Oh,
heroes too.
okay. I'll edit that out. I don't do much editing, but I'll
Chop that
edit
out.
that one out. So okay. So Kyle, finishing up on your expenses and things. So now I think you're gonna have a lot of people that are hoping that you are in Vegas in February. So you think you'll be able to splurge a little bit and attend year 3?
um, we'll see. I want to. It's the location, honestly. It's the Vegas, it's the city, it's the people. That's just it gives me the ick. Nothing about anybody that's in the room. It's just the Vegas area. I'd rather be out in the woods with nobody around. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are hoping to see you and Taylor there and have a lot of questions for you. Nicole says, Dion, you have real friend goals with Lumberjack.
We don't get many real friends in life. So make sure they know they're important.
Dylan said, that's not in the budget, I guess, going to Vegas for you.
Yeah, dude, that's my whole living expenses for the whole year tied up there. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, no, we'll see.
Well, Kyle, I think you have helped a lot of people believe or switch to understanding your living expense, and I think we're showing that a lot of people can do it. And I think you sent me a message, and it says you're not sacrificing, you're selecting what actually matters, right? You kind of want to
Yeah.
touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just chase the income when most of the time it's easier to fix the expenses. It's get off the treadmill instead of chasing the dollars. Just stop playing the game entirely. Like I'm against like the whole system, I guess. On you should have the car payment, you should have the new phone every year, you should have all the subscriptions for all this stuff, and I'm just seeing people just drill holes in the bucket, and the water is the money, and it's just running out. It'd just be easier to find a bucket or start plugging the holes in the bucket. It's just seems like it's the easiest way in most cases, but definitely you can do both, and that can absolutely accelerate you for sure.
Sounds like a GoFundMe for Kyle is going to be put together to get you to Vegas. Uh, but yeah, I think that's what's great about the community. So even like Hard Hat Toronto says, you guys are my only friends, right? So I think a lot of people are connecting online and building this relationship. And yeah, it's a fun place. So hopefully you'll be in Vegas, Kyle.
We will see. You're certainly pushing, aren't you?
That's what I do. Well, yeah, I talked about it the other day on the live stream. That's kind of where I'm having some maybe questions because I found out my son was being a bully at school the other day. Well, I think he jumped on some of his friends' behaviors and they were yeah. Anyway, so now I'm kind of like, man, am I, because everyone jokes around that I'm always bullying people to do stuff and push them and whatnot. So I was kind of like, man, is he like seeing what the way I behave and joke around with people? And so I was kind of thinking about that the other day. And a lot of people were having fun in the chat at my expense.
Right.
There's a question from Tiffany. It says, does he have credit cards?
Yeah, 2% cash back. I use that thing on everything. I don't use it to build wealth. I just use it to reduce the expenses on the expenses I am making.
I think you answered this last time, but it does say, is kids in the future for Kyle?
No, nope, nope. It would be the opposite of what we want.
Well, that's what Dion kind of said earlier. I never thought I was going to have a child, and yeah. So, but I think someone else messaged me before also too that the one thing about your breakdown of your expenses was it's not like you only have 2x your living expense in your amount of cash flow and whatnot, right? It's probably like a 8x, 10x right now, right? So that's the spread that you have. And if you did have a kid, yeah, they could be fairly expensive, but I think you're well prepared for that.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm not doing other things. Like I'm just sitting here, like I'm helping Taylor in her handyman business, So I was trying to convince her to pay me $5 a week, and she says I'm too expensive. So I guess I have to renegotiate that one. But there money will still come outside of just the rentals, to be clear, and that's only because it will naturally, because I'm just doing other things because I can't sit idle. So it would be super easy, if she's netting, five to $8,000 a month, helping her out, add another third of that, it's now we're at 15 grand total bringing into the house, and our expenses are still the same. And just to be clear, like a lot of people might push back and say, well, your expenses will go up when you start making that much. It's like, well, I've kind of already been doing that for the last 15 years, and my expenses went down every time. So it's easy to ignore that.
All right. So I asked him if he could jump in maybe shortly. I know he doesn't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot. I got to get my son ready, but I wanted this other individual to join us to talk about sacrifice, but here he is. Hold on. Let me bring him in.
Hello.
We have the man, the myth, the legend, Curtis PE turned RE. So morning, man.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I was supposed to be on earlier, but we got parent teacher conferences, so schedules got moved around.
But hey, thanks for jumping on real quick, man. Have you met Kyle before?
No.
Hey, Curtis, how you doing?
Good. I wish I was over where you're at, where you can live on the 600, man. That's like awesome.
Well,
just cutting out the stuff that don't matter to me. That's all.
But you aren't in that area, but you figured out a way to get your first property, and maybe talk about that real quickly, about that sacrifice.
Yeah, so in 2022, I got my first duplex. The site I was going to occupy was 3-bed, 1.5 bath. I'm single. I have no kids. I have no pets. So I was like, I don't really need all that space. And so the primary suite kind of had its own exterior door. And so I kind of sealed it off and rented out the other space kind of as its own like unit. So I lived in about 200 square feet. No shower, no kitchen, no laundry, but I was living for free. I think I started off paying like $50, and then once I did the rent increase, I was actually cash flowing there a little bit. So yeah, I did that for about 16 months. So the question is always, well, how did you eat? Where did you shower? So at my job, I have a shower. My mom's house, I would shower. At the gym, I would shower. And then for food, I figured out I could use an air fryer or a microwave, but you can't use two at the same time or it pops the circuit. You only learn that one once, and then you never make the mistake.
I think the biggest thing was that you said you didn't have a shower, and I know Dion, you talked about that too, right? So who did you teach Dion that, Curtis, or was it vice versa?
Oh, Curtis was doing that before me.
Yeah, though Dion, he had like a little shower that he could walk to. If I wanted to shower, I had to go drive to somewhere. Though I don't know what's worse, showering in the park or having to drive somewhere to go take a shower.
The best part about showering in the park was my brother came over to help me with something one time. And so we went to the park to shower after. And we're at a state park. And my redneck brother walks out completely naked. He goes, I'm done. It's all yours. That's how he lives his life. You've seen David on the channel. That was the only rough time we had there at the state park with the shower.
See, at least David wants to buy something in Hawaii, right? He wants to, or
he does.
Yeah, see? Lynn says Curtis and Kyle can share Ubers in Vegas. That's kind of a little inside jab at Curtis. Mick is asking, though, I think this is for you, Kyle. Do you run your rentals like your lifestyle? I believe they're asking.
As far as being cheap goes,
I think that's what they're trying to refer to.
I think I think a lot of people would be very impressed with the rentals compared to how I live. It was funny. The one tenant that I placed, what was it? I guess it was last year. She, heard that I was in Montana. She's like, "Oh, you must have a big ranch and a big mansion." I'm like, "Your house, like I could put 6 of my houses in your house." So, if anybody's curious about the houses that I have, I have some on Facebook that might still be from old listings. I don't know if it's still going to show, but you can absolutely look at them there. Lumberjack package on everything. So I guess Lumberjack can tell me if I'm skipping out on things.
Alex, the accidental investor, does say, I think you guys skipping showers is a little extreme.
There's no skipping when you just schedule it.
How was that walk? You guys had a video, right? You and Alex did a walkthrough on his properties, Dion?
We did. We went and looked at all of his Washington properties. We didn't drive to the Arizona one, but we looked at them. We also looked at a set in the members only. We analyzed a deal here in Washington that math was not terrible on. All the aspects of the property look great, right? Side by side, duplexes, washer dryer hookups, garages, like checked off all these boxes. So we go to drive by and look at it. And it's on a hill like this, where the house is etched out in the middle. All of the tenants' cars are parked at an angle like this in front of the house. The deal killer was something you couldn't tell from pictures, from not even really from Google Street View, because it was a new build where that wasn't there. So if you don't, that would have been one, if I wasn't doing this with Alex, where if I thought it was a great deal and I made an offer out, because I've never looked at a property before making an offer, I would have went under contract, then gone and said, okay, let me look at it and go, no, yeah, I'm backing out during my inspection period, not losing any of my earnest money. I'm not going to own a property where the tenants won't stay very long because the yard is at such an angle.
Mm-hmm. And Alex is one of those that does work for the federal government, right? So he's kind of feeling the pain right now. But I think you guys kind of touched on also the importance of having a rental portfolio, and it's kind of helping him get through this time too, right?
The biggest risk people take is having their job as their only source of income. I don't understand why people think investing is gambling. The investments is what is keeping Alex afloat.
Yeah, I actually went over to his house warming party over the weekend and kind of got to see the part where he's going to live in. I saw the ADU and the plans for the basement too. It's really exciting what he has planned for that place.
Hard Hat to Rentals does say, Kyle, what % do you take out for repairs on your rentals? Oh, are you muted, Kyle? Or
there we go. Between 15 to 20% depends on the property. A lot of them I go through them, and almost every property I put a new roof on every single one. There might be one or two that the roof is 10 or 12 years old. Furnaces are almost brand new on every side. I buy the ones that need a lot of work. So it's kind of, I go through them and get everything done right out of the gate when I buy them. So it's like a fresh restart. So I can go down to 15%. I have one or two that I do like 20%, but
I'm curious, since you guys are all kind of in that financially free part. I feel like putting the money to the side is something that you do when you're kind of like at the end, like you have to think about it. Whereas at the beginning, I would think it just builds in an account, like you don't even touch the cash flow.
So in growth mode, when you're starting, the money gets set aside to build your reserves. Mm-hmm. When the reserves are full, the money that you would normally set aside for future repairs, maintenance, and vacancy goes into the investing fund. You don't put it into your lifestyle fund, because then you have to downgrade life if you have issues. When I buy a property now in retirement, I still calculate, if I bought this as a standalone asset and I was setting aside my 15%, what does the math look like then? Even though I wouldn't be setting that aside into repairs because the reserve's full, I still run the numbers like I would.
All right, I got maybe about 5 more minutes before I got to wake my son up. I think a lot of people in the chat have heard Dion's take on his reserves and whatnot. But Kyle, you being financially free now, do you have a certain amount per property, or do you kind of have like, Dion hit a certain amount, like 50K, and that's kind of his reserves. And so how do you handle your reserves, I guess?
Yeah. So for me, like I don't want to see less than 100,000. And that's probably coming from the trucking background, to be clear. It's, Dion would probably say, that's too much. Matt would probably say it's too much. I think a lot of people would, but that's my comfort number, because in a blink of an eye with the trucking company, rebuilding the motor, it's, $45,000-$50,000 right out of the gate. And that can happen with, blink of an eye. So having a higher number in reserves at all times to make sure your business is still afloat was always the motivator for me. So yeah, 100,000 for me on the reserves is a number that I never want to see anything below that. And as far as the 15-20%, Dion nailed it. You still run the numbers when you're buying the property. Don't discount that just because you have it. I think that is absolutely crucial. Do not discount that. And then for me, it's just all in a big melting pot, basically. And if you control your expenses, you control your discipline, it can't really go down at that point.
All right. And Nicole, we'll wrap it up with this one. It says, do you keep your reserves in a separate account from your cash flow?
Dion can go first.
Fair enough. No, I run my business like I run my life. One track mind. I have one checking account, one saving account, one credit card, done. Your state might require an account for deposits, but if you have an interest-bearing account, that's never become an issue. You can make it as simple or as complex as you want to, and that's the way I choose to do it. I don't have to think about anything.
Wow,
good job waking up early.
He's taller than Mark.
Bridge, they said you're taller than me. They said 6'7". All right, so I guess that's my cue to sign off. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Curtis, for jumping on last minute. Kyle, hope to see you in Vegas. Dion, thanks for always doing this. Quickly, sorry, Curtis, that the chat's not working for me, but I know you do have a YouTube channel. So where can people find you and go subscribe to your channel?
Yeah, they can find me on YouTube and on Instagram, PE_RE.
And what is the new business, or what have you just recently got? And are you an agent now? Are people looking to buy a home or invest in your area?
Yep. So actually helping some investors in our area now. I am an agent. Mostly got it for myself, and people were asking for help. So now I can legally help everyone.
Remind everyone where though?
Yeah, PE_RE.
No. What area for your real estate license?
In Washington. If you're an hour drive from Spanaway, then I can help you out.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and maybe we'll have another 4 of us on again, or Taylor on maybe next time. But